What's your philosophy around leadership, Kyle?
It's changed, I think. Like from when I started business, I was the guy on the tools with your mates, with the music up, the energy drinks, having fun and all that sort of stuff. And then you go through this transition where you want to go from a business full of lads to a professional business. And there's certain people in your business that won't want to come on that journey with you to where you want to go. And that was where I used the term, like, sometimes you have to phoenix the business you've got to rebuild the new one. Because I found that I actually probably lost, probably 70 to 80% of our sort of original employees aren't with us now from when we first started.
Welcome to the Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea, where we unpack all things influence and we help leaders particularly find their influence by talking to amazing humans and finding out what influence means to them, who they've been influenced by, and who they have influenced. And this podcast episode, proudly sponsored by the Guinea Group of Companies. The Guinea Group helps leaders upgrade, upskill, uplift their teams and their influence. Welcome to all our listeners and all our viewers out there in podcast land, wherever you get your podcast today. On the Find Your Influence podcast at Anton Guinea, we've got the amazing Kyle Zanetto. Now, Kyle's a special kind of human. Kyle's a builder, an entrepreneur, and the co-founder. If you watch Kyle's shirt as part of this, if you're watching this, you'll see a shirt. If you're listening to this, the co-founder of Future Builder Company, the founding director of originally Zanetto Builders, which is a construction firm that specialized in luxury, sustainable, and I love this, high-performance homes. We do high-performance teams. Kyle does high-performance homes. Additionally, Kyle holds a leadership role in the top Tasmanian homes, managing a property-level work, including property management of fine homes. So that's pretty cool, mate.
Yeah, a side venture we kicked off. Sorry? Bit of a side venture we kicked off. You know, it's like easily getting distracted and taking things on.
Be a sandpit to play in on the side, apparently.
That's it.
But what I love about Kyle's team is Kyle's got a public presence, and Kyle's what we call a thought leader. And the way that Kyle sort of does that thought leadership is sharing insights into building, scaling construction businesses and managing growth without burnout. And I think that's the reason that Kyle and I have been put together, because I asked one of Kyle's great buddies, Robbie Creer, thank you, Robbie, for a great name. And Robbie mentioned Kyle because of what Kyle's doing, both from a business growth perspective, from an entrepreneur perspective, and just generally being a good human perspective. Welcome, mate.
Good to be on here, mate. Thanks for having me.
That was
Tell my story.
Mate, great to have you. So first of all, high performance homes. I'd never heard of it until Robbie told me about it. What's a high performance home, please, Kyle?
The easiest way to put it would be energy use, energy loss, and energy efficiency. So you imagine high performing basically speaks to internal comfort and energy use. I would say sort of how I look at it. So if you imagine your grandparents' home or an old house when you grew up, might have had like your wood fire, your conventional heater, but you had to regularly heat the house because it was so leaky, because buildings back then weren't built airtight. So obviously you pay for energy, you heat the home up, you lose it quickly, so you're paying for more. It's a really simple way to sort of think about it. So the homes that we try and build these days, obviously you imagine like a balloon or a bubble. If you've got air in a bubble, and it's all airtight, you don't sort of lose it, so you don't lose that energy loss. So in Tasmania, we've got like a climate zone where we're trying to manage the heat loss out through our buildings, out through our walls. So we want to make them as energy efficiency and well built as possible. And that is achieved by having thicker wall build-ups, high quality insulation, more airtight construction, so we don't get that air we've already paid to heat up leaking out through gaps within the home, so we've got to pay to reheat it again. And yeah, then it's all about using better quality windows, because the windows are a weak spot in any wall. That's where you lose a lot of your energy. And making sure we're using like good doors and seals and bits and pieces like that. And then on the other side of the table, we're building better, and we've got to make sure that we ventilate these homes as well. You imagine if you're living in a bubble, you've got no fresh air. So you combat the energy loss with building better, but then you've got to have the supply of fresh air to the homes as well. So it adds a whole nother aspect to the picture that we've got to manage. So
Thanks, Kyle. Beautifully articulated. I love it. I get it. I get it. And I think our viewers and listeners would get that too. So you're going to create an energy efficiency home where you keep the air inside so you don't keep paying to reheat or cool air. Up in Queensland, we're probably trying to cool. You're down there in Tassie, you're trying to heat.
that's right. Yeah. Heat only moves in one direction, in or outside your home, depending on where you live in Australia typically. So it's all about sort of managing that heat transfer.
Whoa, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. That's so cool. Now, is Future, the company Future, is that part of the high performance home, or is Future a little bit different?
So I suppose I'll go back a step. So Future Builder was basically an idea between myself, co-founder Luke Davies, who's owner of Davies Construction, and Matthew Long, who owns Tas Visuals. That's sort of like our media guy that makes everything look really pretty online and on social media. And then Future Builder created as sort of like a space to become like the librarians for the construction industry. So what we found was the building industry was failing because there was a lack of education, resource, availability of tools and assets and training that could help builders around the world build better businesses. Because the typical life cycle of a builder is finish school, get an apprenticeship, finish your apprenticeship, go and start your own company, work really hard, have no idea about business, and then go broke because you can't run a business, but you're a great builder. So over the last sort of 5 years, the online education space has really improved for Instagram, YouTube, all that sort of stuff. And myself and Luke obviously went down that rabbit hole with business coaching and sort of worked in and out of platforms around Australia. And then we just saw an opportunity to create something better. And that's where we come up with the idea for Future Builder. So it's now a community where builders all around Australia and hopefully the world soon can come in. They can join like-minded people and get access to all the tools and assets and training that Luke and I have used to build our businesses, as well as the other 100 companies we work with, all willing to share their resources as well. So we've basically got 100 companies all putting in the same pool and working together.
Wow. Changing the world.
Changing the building industry. We're starting there, hopefully.
Nice, Kyle. I love it.
But
That's so cool. Have you got any success stories yet? Let's flick to influence, and let's flick to online education is really around influencing others to sort of make a change and grow their business or not go out of business, whatever that looks like. Have you got a success story? Like who have you influenced as part of
yeah, I literally last week had a really good call with a friend called Luke from Impact Build, and I wish I was recording it, but he made a statement in there. He said that joining Future Builder in the last 6 months, he's made more progress than in the last 10 years in business, and that if he hadn't joined, he's not sure where his business would have ended up. So that was pretty powerful to hear that from him. And then on the other side of it, we've honestly never had a single piece of bad feedback from a member in the community. So what we're providing, I think, is sort of hitting the mark. And everyone's getting something from it.
Oh, so good. Right. So good, mate. Congrats.
Yeah, and even my business, like I spend a lot of time in numbers and finance and the business side of business now. I'm not on the tools, but sort of having all the conversations and the old saying, you teach, you learn sort of thing. So getting to work and listen to all these people. I've learned so much in the last year and a half since we kicked off as well.
Congrats. That's a success story. I love it. So taking a step back, we're doing Find Your Influence today as part of this. Who's the biggest influence on you? How did you get into building? Where did it all start for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest influence around probably business was my father. Growing up, he kicked off more like a civil contracting construction company at about the age of 30. So sort of worked and then took that leap of faith with 3 little kids and went and started his own business. Started out with a couple of little machines and just doing the long hours and the late nights in the little office in the house I'm actually living in now. So it's pretty funny. And then, I guess being surrounded by him and my uncle and a few people who were all business owners growing up, got a bit of an insight, and you listen to all the dinner stories and you see the see the things they go through, the pressure and the stress and all that. And then building was a bit of a surprise for me, to be honest. I sort of finished up in high school, went to college, and was going to kick off and be an engineer because I'm a bit of a numbers guy. And then just realised that, I just need to be in the sun working hard, because the whole physicality and building things with my hands sort of really, really hit the mark for me, and got into building just by asking someone in the supermarket where I was working if he'd give me a job. And I started the next week, and off I went.
Stop it. And how long ago was that, Kyle?
I was 17, so 16 years nearly now.
16 years ago you started. You started your apprenticeship. And then how long after your trade finished? So a 4-year apprenticeship, I'm guessing. Was it 4 years back then still?
Yeah, we do 4 years. Yep.
Sure. How long after that did you take the leap of faith and go into business on your own?
I was like within the first week that I could. So I did a 4-year apprenticeship, and then you've got to have a 2-year competency after your apprenticeship, and then a bit of equity, and you can do your what they call your certificate 4 in construction. Once you complete that, you can apply for your builder's license. So as soon as I'd hit that 6-year mark outside my apprenticeship, Zanetto Builders kicked off in 2017.
Wow, geez, there was no stopping you. So you were destined for business ownership, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it was always my plan. I think I finished the apprenticeship, did the study, booked a holiday, went to Europe for 3 months, come back, and then got the partying out of the system a bit, and then kicked off the business. And it was a big road since then.
Right. Well done. Congrats. What a great story. And you went into business even though you knew how stressful small business could be, because you'd been surrounded by business owners. So there must have been some sort of upside that those business owners, your dad and your uncle, shared. It mustn't have been all bad.
Yeah, I think the fact that they ran and still run successful businesses probably showed the upside. If it had gone the other way and the businesses had failed, it probably would have tarnished the vision a bit. But I've always been a pretty motivated sort of person. Anything I do in life, I'm there to do my best and try and win, whatever it is. So I think it was just always part of my DNA.
Wow. So you had successful business owners around you, I think is the message.
Yeah.
Good on you. Yep. And have you relied on dad and uncles much, like during your business journey? Like, did you go to them in the early days?
Probably not the early days. Probably like I was pretty separate, I suppose, as a 20 or 25-year-old bloke. You don't really like asking your old man for help business-wise. So it was more just me and the lads on site hustling, just working the 6 and 7 days a week. And then now we do bounce off each other a fair bit. But I'm sort of right into the AI space and all the data-driven stuff, whereas his business is a little bit older, so it's a lot of spreadsheet-based activity and all that. So there is that sort of differentiation in business acumen, I suppose. But yeah,
different philosophies, different strategies.
He just runs a business that he knows works and makes money, whereas I like to have every little dashboard and number.
Right. I love it.
Through so I can sleep at night.
Good call. Know your numbers, they say, Kyle. Know your numbers.
Yeah.
So in saying all that, like all of a sudden you're sort of 24, 25, for example, you're out on your own now, and you said you got to hustle. You use that word. I love that, the word hustle. How do you influence someone to give you money as a 25-year-old? You're just out of your time. You've just done your 2 years. What's the influence skill that you learnt then, or that you already had, that helped you get people to buy your stuff?
Yeah, so 2 things. Obviously, you've got to have a good ability to speak and have a good sales ability. So I worked in a supermarket from 14 to 24. Even after I've started my building company, I had a bit of overlap. So spent 10 years sort of serving customers, doing the Sunday shift. So kind of got a good network in the local area through football clubs, supermarket, athletics, all that sort of thing. So you sort of got to build your network and your client base up in your local town. And then after that, it all comes down to work ethic. Like once I started building, it was, the first year I was out doing the good old cashies and decks and getting into the bathrooms and all that. And then just built a bit of a reputation for a good young fella, I suppose, that worked hard and did good quality work, and it just starts to snowball.
And you got a reputation for that then, by the sounds of that.
Yeah, I was pretty big into my tiling as a bit of a junior. So I sort of did a lot of tiling from sort of 17, 18 years on. So I think that, yeah, the work outside I did a work at that time was a lot of like bathroom renos and everything. So doing the finish detail work like that, you get a bit of an eye for detail.
Right. Okay. So there's a bit of quality in there as well. So there's so what I heard then was being able to sell. So what does it mean to be able to sell then? Like you're 25, like, you're just starting. So, how do you go to someone and say, can I fix your bathroom? Are you saying that you knew that your network looked after you and you just went and told your network and all of a sudden they bought off you? Was that sort of the process?
Yeah, I think if you don't know how to sell, you've got to have referrals. I was quite lucky that I was surrounded by people who were willing to give me the opportunity to come and improve myself. And then from there, you've only got to do a good job a couple of times and impress a couple of customers, and the word spreads pretty quickly in a small town. So that was the introduction to it, and then the sales skills probably come later on. I think at that early age, it's always just about being genuine, open, honest, and hardworking. Just show up when you say you're going to clean up after yourself. Just the 1%ers that stack up.
Wow, the 1%ers. Genuine, open, honest, hardworking. Do the 1%ers.
Take the shoes off when you go in. Bring them a coffee. All the little things.
Stop it.
Things that'll make your mum proud.
Oh, stop it. Shoes off, coffee, and do what would make your mum proud. Oh, stop it. That's influence.
That's it.
I like that.
I'm happy you keep anyone happy.
That's right. The client's happy, Kyle, so are we, right? Well, mate, I love it. That's so well put. So well put. Influence is not just about, big words or fluffy presentations or, body language. It's actually about like just thinking ahead and maybe adding value first, maybe, just doing the little things that impress people.
Yeah. What's the saying? Is it give 10 times and then you'll never have to ask for something?
We say give, ask. Kyle?
Yeah.
Give,
Yeah.
give up.
Yeah.
Good on you. Good on you.
Or
Give 10 times. I like yours. Give 10 times, and then you'll never have to ask. I like it. So that's who is it. So if you had to come up with, I'm going to ask you for two definitions during this interview, mate. But if you had to come up with a definition for the word influence, like it's such a sort of an abstract concept. How would you describe that?
I think I would say just be yourself, be unique. Like you can't influence everyone. You've just got to stand out and impress the small little crowd that believe in you and want to follow you. I think like there's that whole 80-20 rule or whatever. I know that as a person, I'm pretty outgoing, pretty outspoken, don't mind getting on social media a bit now, saying things that I probably was a bit scared to a few years ago. But I also know that what we do is different and we're only going to resonate with a certain client or a certain follower. And that's the important thing about identifying your niche and staying in your lane. As soon as you try and influence or impress everyone, you're in bed just with anxiety of the night, worrying about things. Like it's just, yeah.
Tell me about
So I think,
Tell me about it.
yeah, find who you are and then just stick to it, and then find people that follow.
Find who you are and stick to that. Wow. There's a bit of authenticity or genuineness in that. And you think that when you're showing up as who you are to your tribe, so who needs you, all of a sudden the magic will happen.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Wow.
You're not going to resonate with everyone, are you?
No, absolutely not. It was a bit of a shock the day that I found out that not everyone likes me, Kyle. I'm offended.
I think it's probably hard through like your early to mid 20s that I think once you tick over 30, you sort of realise.
That's right.
Probably the point with me, that's probably 30, I reckon.
Yeah, gotcha. I think I was a bit older. I think I had too much ego as a young person. I went into business at 30 thinking that, who wouldn't want to buy my stuff?
Yeah.
Then you get that rude awakening that you do have to find your niche. You got to find your tribe. You got to find the people that are looking for your stuff. And what we say now, Kyle, I'm really aware that it's not what you know. It's not even who you know. It's who knows you. when they need you.
Yeah, that's right. It's timing, isn't it?
Always timing in the market, mate. Well said. That's why you need consistency. That's why you're on social media. That's why you say stuff that's potentially controversial, because it talks to the people that need to hear it.
Yeah, and then that all like ties into marketing strategy too. Like, I'm not one for TikTok, but I post on TikTok because I know in 20 years' time the TikTokers are going to be my clients. So I'm like, there's all that sort of thinking ahead. And then if we're running ads, for example, I know that my ideal customers, 55 to 65-year-old business owner looking to retire, looking to build the last house of their life sort of thing, which is the forever home that we sort of niched into. And they're typically on Facebook. So Facebook ads are going to convert more than Instagram ads. So all that sort of, identifying who your customer is and how to sort of put yourself in front of the right person is crucial.
Smart. You got a marketing brain. I love it.
You got to these days.
Yeah, exactly right. Mate, well said. So cool. So how many people in your business, Kyle? Just so that everyone knows. How many humans are you leading?
It's got about 34 full-timers in Zanetto Builders. Across Tassie, so sort of Launceston, St Helens, which we're now down the coast on the beautiful beach, and then down in Hobart, we branched into a couple of years ago as well. So, yeah, fairly decent sized little crew, still growing steadily.
34 humans. That's a big team. So that's 34 potential, people you got to care for that are going to have some struggles that, need your support at times. What's your philosophy around leadership, Kyle?
It's changed, I think. Like, from when I started business, I was the guy on the tools with your mates, with the music up, the energy drinks, having fun and all that sort of stuff. And then you go through this transition where you want to go from a business full of lads to a professional business. And I've told this story before, but it's quite a hard transition I found. And there's certain people in your business that won't want to come on that journey with you to where you want to go. And that was where I sort of used the term, like, sometimes you have to phoenix the business you've got to rebuild the new one. Because I found that I actually probably lost, probably 70 to 80% of our sort of original employees aren't with us now from when we first started. So as the vision changes, I suppose your style of leadership changes and you go from being a bit more of a dictatorial leader as a younger boss to more of a who not how sort of leader. So it's all about setting the vision of, I suppose, what we want Zanetto Builders to be across Tasmania, and then bringing in the people that will buy into that vision. And for me, leadership now is just about setting a good example, I suppose, for my staff. Like, trying not to lose my cool or blow my top like I used to, and approaching everything with a bit of a calm frame of mind, and then just placing good structure in the business. We've been really, really working hard at good meeting cadences and well-structured meetings that are actually going to get outcomes rather than wasted time at the moment. So, there's a lot involved with being a leader, I suppose. I probably couldn't pinpoint a word.
Have you got a motto? Have you got a quote? Like, have you got, the mantra?
Yeah. Mine is build a company that can fit the dreams of all your employees in it.
Whoa. Build a company.
Because I find that if I can scale a company and continue to grow it so everyone can continually upskill and provide themselves with a life that is better than the risk of going out and potentially doing it themselves, then that's the opportunity I want to provide. So,
wow. Build a business that everyone can grow and that meets their needs and that they can upskill with you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty deep for a construction business.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And are you able to share a lot of these insights, like, with your future builders sort of tribe?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I actually flew to Sydney last week. Had a young fellow, he's 29, I'm only 33, but 32, 33 next week. But yeah, he won a competition. I flew up to Sydney and I spent a full 8 hours in his office and I just unpacked my entire laptop into his business. Every sort of template, document, estimating sheet, ran through all his P&Ls, bits and pieces. and that's what Future Builder is. It's like any builder across Australia can ring me up, and I'll get on a Zoom call with them, and I'll just show them how I got through what they're going through, or try and provide some insight into what they're doing.
Wow. That would be valued. Geez, you must be popular in the industry, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, I suppose it was a pretty easy sort of mission. Like, I wish I had that when I went through that period in business where I had no help, and I sort of paid the heavy price, and then you bounce back out of it, and you're like, well, if I needed it, all these other people probably need it. So that's the business model.
Wow. You found a need and you've met it.
Yeah, that's the plan, and then just being surrounded by everyone else that's on the same sort of journey. Like, we're really lucky in Future Builder. We've got 100 different businesses that are all open book, happy to support each other.
Sure. And I was going to say, do they all contribute? Have you got like a group messenger and they're all sort of sharing ideas and stuff?
Oh yeah, we've got like an app and an Instagram chat, and then we run a few calls a week where everyone gets on, and then you'd be surprised. Like, you could ask anyone in there for a resource, just put it in the chat, and you might get 5, 10, 15 builders that's just like, hey, put your email in, I'll send it to you. So it's sort of the point where you nearly don't need to build anything. You can just ask for it, and it's just like handballing resources and learning back and forth.
Oh, mate, congrats.
It's cool. It's good. Yeah.
You've managed to, by osmosis, potentially create these people that have your give attitude.
Yeah, you attract the certain people too, don't you? Like, if you're a giver, you attract givers.
Love it. And then you lead by example, and all of a sudden other people follow, and they see you doing it and being successful, and go, maybe there's something in this giving first before you ask.
Yeah, and then the hope is that in another 5 years, there won't be builders going broke around Australia like you always were saying 2 or 3 years ago, isn't it? Like,
that's the big why. I love it. All of, people like yourself, like myself, we've always, got that big why, and now that's your big why. And you're right, too many. It's been sort of nearly weekly or monthly for years now. Still, see that, and they're real big builders. They're not sort of, or some of them are probably smaller, but you've seen really big builders go out of business as well.
It's not an easy industry. Like, when you run a building business and you see what you've got to go through, and the money that moves in and out, and the difficulties you have with compliance and clients and managing team and staff and all that. It's it's full.
Who'd do it, do you reckon? Who's mad enough to do it?
You got to be a certain type, but I think people that do, like, we bloody love it. We just enjoy the chaos to some degree.
We enjoy the chaos. I love it. Type A personality, just so you know, just in case. Yeah.
Mate, that is me to the T. Yeah.
Competitive, driven.
Yeah, full spoken.
Outspoken, vision focused. You're going to change the world. The world changes. The decision makers. Absolutely the out there's. Well done, mate. The world needs more of you. Congrats, Kyle. It's so good to see. Now, last couple of questions, mate. So anyone thinking about, anyone on the edge of future builders, or even anyone on the point of the decision point of, do I go into a construction business or not? What would you say to a young builder just finished their apprenticeship? Said, I've had people around me, they're in business, it looks like fun. What's the coaching? What's the guidance? What's the influence for those young people?
Yeah. So the easiest way to put it is you're going from being a builder to being a business owner. You've just spent the last 4 years learning to be a builder. You have zero experience on how to run a business, and you're about to go and start a business. It'll be like saying, I'm going to build a house without doing an apprenticeship. But that's what we all do. So for me, the answer is simple. It's go and put a year's worth of education into how to run a business. In that sort of year or two, stepping up to it, spend money, whether it costs you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, to get the knowledge to make sure that when you get set up, you've got all the tools, tricks, and sort of understanding that when you run your first job, it's profitable, and then it can snowball because you've got the profitability in your business to be able to pay for the advice that's going to make you successful down the line.
Wow. So really what you're saying is you've done a building apprenticeship, now go and do a business apprenticeship.
Pretty well. Well, that's the exact reason why I failed and why all builders fail, because we can build great homes, but we can't run great businesses because we never get taught. Like, you go and you put an hourly rate up there and you put a little markup on the job because your dad's mate at the pub said to put it on there, and it's 3 years before you figure out that you haven't been making any money, proper money.
Whoa. And was that your journey?
Yeah, I was 4 years in, so I was still running. So the whole like pub term was price a job and put 10% markup on it. So I was doing $3 or $4 million worth of work at 26 years old with some big custom homes. And I got down to 7% markup because one of the guys hustled me down because I was young and didn't know my thing, and I thought I was going to make 7% on a $1.3 million job, and then work the next 6 months, 7 days a week for free. And then the other job, we lost a couple $100,000 on it. So yeah, I had a year where, and that was like just coming into COVID, probably lost about 300,000 to 400,000 in the business, and I worked 80 to 100 hours a week every week. And it's sort of at that point in your career where you go, all right, she's time to go down a different road. And that was when the whole business coaching or development space kicked off for me. When I've lost the most money, I invested the most in my education.
What I'm hearing, Kyle, is it's not all beer and Skittles is what I'm hearing.
Nah. Even now, like we've been set up quite well for a few years, but when you've got $300,000-400,000 a week moving in and out of your business, it only takes a few bad weeks for things to start getting scary again. So yeah, I'd be investing in your education, setting your business up, and my goal is to have 3 months worth of operating expenses in all of my companies around Tassie, so that if things do go down, we've got that safety net there. And I think that's something that every sort of business should aspire to have, rather than living from pay to pay.
Love that. I think that's a good advice, not just construction businesses, all businesses. You know, like if I pull this back and if I put you on that camera, you know, regularly, that's our dashboard. We're a bit old school, but the first thing we're doing, and there's obviously confidential stuff on there, so I'll put that in the way. And so I can write on this as well in case, you know, I want to, but, you know, it's the first thing we talk about every week is cash flow. And, obviously the goal is to have, you know, more than 3 months, but 3 months, that's a great goal. I love that. Well done. And I love the simplicity of that. And if you've got probably half a dozen simple principles for business owners, nice and easy to remember, nice and easy to track, nice and easy to measure, then what's the system that goes under that to track and measure those? So,
yeah. And then having a good banking methodology too. Like for me, for the first few years, it was one bank account in out, didn't know what the liabilities were. And now I think we're nearly 60 bank accounts across all the different businesses. And every time we get paid, it's all split into buckets and used properly. So it's just about being able to log in and know exactly what's yours and exactly what's the ATOs and exactly what you've got to refund to a client and all those little things.
I like what you said then, have a banking philosophy. It's like a banking strategy, how money moves around the business. Wow.
Yep.
Banking strategy. I like that. Thanks so much. Is it all right if I learn something from you as well while we're here and maybe implement something in our business?
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks for the education.
It's all good. I think that, the whole bank account setup's huge.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I try to log in every day. I think for me, the mindset is if the more you look at it, where your focus goes, your energy flows. I say, Kyle.
Yep.
So
I'll check my banks 3 or 4 times a day.
Absolutely. Let's go business, mate. Yep. Absolutely. I don't get why business owners aren't, you know, it's sometimes a surprise to them that something shows up or whatever. You know, we know how many invoices we've got outstanding and, you know, when they're due. And, you know, and the thing is for small business owners, if you've got like a 30 or 60 or 90 day terms, which some small businesses are, and we are, when that 60 days come around, if that's not in your bank account, you should know that and you should be following it up. So,
yeah, 100%.
Well said, mate. Well said. You've talked about how you coach and how you influence, where you've got a tribe and you've got 100 businesses that you're working with. Mate, any other big tips or tricks, any life lessons, learnings, anything else you'd like to share with our listeners or our viewers?
Biggest one would probably just ask these days. Like the biggest thing that no one does is just ask for help. And there are so many people or so many videos or podcasts on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, like every piece of information that you need to get where you want to go is typically already online. And there is a podcast that specializes in it, or there is a course you can pay for that might cost you $2, it will make you 200 grand or whatever it is. But yeah, you don't improve because you don't ask and you just don't invest the time. So I'd say to anyone, just take the ego hat off and just ask for help.
Brush the ego, ask for help, mate. You heard it first here, team, from Kyle Zanetto. Brush the ego, ask for help. None of us know everything, Kyle. We got to make sure that we go and get the info that we need. Well said, man. Yep. Well put. Now, very last question, which I ask all of our podcast guests, which is how you and I met through your great mate, Robbie Creer. Kyle Zanetto, who do you think would be a great guest on the podcast, Find Your Influence with Anton Guinea?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with my business partner and future builder, Luke Davies. He's one of the smartest operational minds I've ever met, and he's a bit of a leader in the future of construction with AI and where the industry's going and where we're looking to take it. So I think to get him in and try and unpack his brain would be an awesome chat.
Can't wait. Offline, I'll ask you to connect me if that's okay, and we'll get Luke on. Can't wait. Yeah, it sounds exciting already. Kyle Zanetto, you've been amazing. For all our listeners and viewers, you've been listening to Find Your Influence with Anton Guinea. You've heard from Kyle Zanetto. Please reach out to future builders if you're looking for coaching. Remember, ask for help. Put your ego aside. And Kyle, thanks again for spending a better part of an hour with us today.
Thanks for having me on. It was a great chat. Appreciate it.
Thanks, champion. Thank you for listening or viewing our Find Your Influence podcast with Anton Guinea. Another great chat. Please be one of the 10% of people who follow and subscribe and like our videos so that you can get more of them and you can hear more of our amazing conversations, the conversations that I get to have and that I get to share.